So with all this energy that we have sort of incoming from the 20th to the 27th, it is definitely in your best interest to use it in a way where less is more. That it would be a mantra that I would definitely sit with. I hope you're doing well. I thought I'd pop in mid-month to see how everybody's doing, how everybody is working through, I guess, a nodal change that we've had, and how it feels. I know that a lot of people talked about the 5157 when we were having that one, and I've talked to so many people who said that they had stomach issues, and I can look at that as seeing Neptune in the gate 25 and bringing the full 2551 channel and bringing a defined will center to a lot of people. And if you have maybe a hanging gate 40, that definitely could have been something that is was a problem. It's uncanny the amount of people who told me that they've had stomach issues. So I hope that people are starting to feel better if anybody was having that type of issue. Mars will be going into the gate 51 on the 20th of May, and it'll be staying there until the 27th. And for that short stint, we will have the 2551 channel activated again with Neptune. So hopefully nothing resurges with that. And it is a different energy. It is not an environmental energy, but we will see how that plays out. And then for the foreseeable future, we're sort of out of that energy for a little bit. And the other perspective is that we did have the nodal change, and going from the two individual gates to now we're moving into a tribal and a logical energy. It is quite a shift in energy. This idea of tribal energy, which is pretty prevalent, and I think that you don't really have to go far to see how tribal energy is playing out in the world. When you look at the logical energy, and this is really looking about the talent. So anybody who has a gate 16 hanging is going to have the full 1648 channel. And I think that if you have like a hanging gate 16 and you don't always have the access to the gate 48, it can be easy to sort of pick up something and then let it go and then maybe not have the energy to work with it again. But what happens with this is that this will give you that sort of longer energy to work with whatever talent or something that is about mastery or something that you're sort of working with. We also have the gate 8 in play, which we've already talked about, and that is changing up the situation. Now, the one thing is it is, activating this idea of wanting to be individual self, wanting to speak from your voice, especially if you have a hanging gate 1, but it can activate anybody with the 1/8 channel, or anybody really who has a defined throat will have access to the gate 8. It's just that it's not as much of a flow because we don't have the full channel. So for instance, if you just have a defined throat and you have the transit of the gate 8, then what that's going to do is it's going to give you that voice of individuality, of course, because it isn't connected to the gate 1, which is really giving you that creative flow. You might feel like you want to say something, but you may not necessarily know what you want to say. And that sort of, you could have that type of energy. But so right now we have a lot of expression for talent, and being able to get out in the world and decide what you want to do. Now, of course, with individual talent, it's always important to remember that it is about this idea of the muse coming and then the muse going, and being okay with that, because individual talent is individual energy, which means that it is something that is on and it's off, and if it's not on, you can't turn it on. Alternatively, the 1648 channel is something that you can always be working at. And if you've been feeling like you don't have the energy to do things, that you sort of there's been such a shift in the energy because there is a lot of individual energy, which comes into this perspective of melancholy. If you're feeling that that's sort of been part of your process, we will have quite a shift in energy coming on May 20th, and that's when we have the 3420 going to be activated by the sun and earth. This happens twice a year, but what it brings is a lot of busy energy. So in other words, if you can harness that energy and use it to your advantage, then you can get a lot of things done. But ultimately, it is about using it to your advantage and not allowing it to sort of use you, which can get to the point where you sort of burn yourself out because it's so active and it's so busy. Not only that, as I mentioned, when Mars goes into the gate 51, brings us back the 5125 channel, we're going to have willpower as well. So willpower to push really hard, to be really busy. So a lot can be done, but again, it's always about using the transits to your advantage as opposed to being in a position where you are, burnt out. Always using the energy to your advantage where you can get what you want done, but also knowing that if this is not your energy, it is not something that you're going to know how to use well, you could say. I mean, it's like you get a brand new tool, you get something brand new and you've never used it before. If you think that you're going to be an expert at using it, you're not, because that's just not going to happen. It takes time to sort of hone, how you're going to use the energy. And that is the same for all of these transits, especially transits that can bring you willpower or sacral energy if you don't normally have sacral energy. But even this type of sacral energy, this is the pure manifesting generator energy of the 3420 that really kind of amps up everything. So even somebody who is a generator type might get a lot of, it's almost overwhelming. So always connecting with your energy, always checking in with how you're feeling. And it is a short period of time, but again, it can be very impactful based on how you're going to use it. And from a global view, the one thing that I think is probably the most impactful that I did mention when I did an overview for May is that we do have the North Node in the gate 21. And, with Mars in the gate 21 now, that's only amping up this environment of, well, you could say Martian energy, which can be assertive, which can be getting the job done, which can be jumping into the fray and just doing what needs to be done. It can be the good general. It can be leading people with a strategy, that type of thing. But we also know there's always duality, and that could be hot-headedness. That could be jumping in and not really having any plan. It could be lack of a strategy. It can be impatience, aggression, and of course, it can be war and those types of things on a global scale. Not saying that anything is going to be more activated than it is right now, but what it is saying is that we might hear more about things kind of amping up. So with Mars connecting with the gate 21, and since we don't have the exaltation in the gate 21 line 6, because that's where the North Node is right now, we're sort of going to be leaning into this idea of chaos and really the gate 21 line 6 is this idea of not really knowing what you want to do, where you want to go, what your resources are, that you're actually striving for. The goals are not there. So you have this energy of pushing forward into something that is not really well planned or well thought of. This could show up as leaders fumbling the ball, leaders not doing what they're meant to do. And I notice that we do have a lot of sort of global, you could say, uprisings. We have in Georgia, there's a lot of protests happening right now. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things that are happening that are kind of activating this energy of tribal support, tribal need, and people feeling that they're not being supported by their leaders. And if we look at the South Node of the Gate 48, the one thing is the Gate 48 is called the common good, and this is about having the right patterns, the right things. So if we can imagine the Gate 48 is the well, because that's exactly what it's called based on the I Ching. It is all the criticisms of the Gate 18 being put into the well and saying, okay, we need to improve things. So what we have right now is we have all the criticisms starting to kind of build up within the gate 48 until we have the connection with the talent, the gate 6, where we speak about what we want to change in the world, what we want to change in our lives. And I mean, yes, it is a channel of talent as well, but from a sort of a more broad perspective, you see that you start to say, okay, well, we need to change things, we need things to be better, the pattern is not okay. And that's what we have a lot of sort of discord and disorder, and that's sort of where we're at right now. And if you look at logical energy and logical talent and the logical process, which is very strong in the world, the one thing we don't have a lot of with logical talent is that we don't have a lot of energy. We don't have a lot of abundance. We don't have a lot of money that goes with it. So there's a lot of campaigning and saying, okay, we need money to make these things happen. And so we have this kind of ability to go where the money is with the logical energy. You could even say an ability to kind of slide into corruption for sure, because it's easy to say, okay, they're giving me the money I want, they're giving me the support I want, and then to make decisions based on that, and to always be kind of looking for more abundance and more support. It is about going to people who have a lot of money and saying, I have an experiment I want to work with, and I need support to get that to happen. With the gate 21 and the gate 48 in play, we have an unstable energy or an unstable pattern because we know that the well is where we find all the energy to make improvements that the gate 18 has sort of pointed out. Some things can't be improved, some things need to be just kind of rebuilt. And this is where we're at in a stage of our lives where we're starting to look at the things that we want to kind of get rid of completely, the things that we are okay with right now, but we feel like we need an improvement. So this is the activity that we're feeling. We're having a lot of pushback against leaders. We're having a lot of pushback about the patterns, saying that we need something more stable, something better that is going to serve the public, that is going to serve the people. And this is really different from democratic energy. This is tribal energy. This is about taking care of people the way that they're only going to support you if you're taking care of them. And it's much different than a democracy where everybody has a voice. This is what we might see is a lot of leaders, acting in a tribal way and just making decisions for the people and really not taking into account what the people really want. And that's what we might see as we go forward. So that's what we have from a global view. And I will be back for the full moon soon. And until next time, take care and bye for now.